Welcome to our show, All the Good Ones.
Are taken, aka AtGoat.
I'm Alex.
I'm MK.
And this is our podcast. Amazing.
Merry Christmas week. Happy Boxing Day, as the British say.
I don't know what that is, but sounds good.
Boxing Day is the day after Christmas.
Oh.
So usually...
Isn't it because of a war?
It could have been. I just know that they have Boxing Day off.
Okay, look up Boxing Day, everybody, because I don't know. Okay, this is Wikipedia, but it says originated as a holiday to give gifts to poor people.
Yeah, it says on which servants, tradespeople, and poor traditionally were presented with gifts.
Damn.
So they got all the leftover gifts after Christmas Day.
Great Britain, I'm giving you side-eye, but
And Commonwealth countries, particularly Australia, Canada, New Zealand.
Wow. Okay. Not the poor people needing gifts. Okay.
So now let's talk about the 1% in the US. It makes more sense if you read the book this week. So Alex, what's going on?
I'm getting ready for Christmas. We did a lot of wrapping this week, which was heinous, but it was good. Trying to figure out other holiday plans, although Christmas is literally
5 days from today.
5 days from today. So Santa's coming and knocking earlier than expected.
All the elves are working double time.
All the elves. I'm an elf, you know?
Aren't we all?
Yeah, at this time of year.
The capitalistic slaves of America.
All right.
I will.
And capitalism does be thriving during the holidays.
I am a little slut for capitalism during Christmas time, to be clear.
I mean, they know what they're doing. We kind of just fall for it like hook, line, and sinker. Even you got me into the holiday books this year, so.
Alex got me a very cute gift. It's
Yay!
one of the book nooks that you put on your bookshelf, and it has a scene. What?
When MK opened it, she was like, Sunshine Town, cute. And then I think you realized it was.
I was like, it's a puzzle.
Yeah,
cool. I'm happy for a puzzle, but I was like, we've never
I would not
talked
get
about
you a
puzzles.
puzzle. Mm-mm.
And then I saw this little thing down here with the books, and I was like, it has to be something else. So
Yeah.
I turned it back, and it's since.
I figured it was a cute little thing you and Shelby could do. So.
Yeah, and it will look perfect in the background of our videos that we haven't been doing recently.
Which we should. Maybe only the minisodes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yay.
But yeah,
how about you?
We've been going to a lot of Christmas parties. So shout out to Sarah for hosting their annual White Elephant Exchange.
Yes, it was lovely.
It was very fun. We came out with... I got a little spa day set.
Cute.
And
That was a good one.
yeah, it was. Shelby got wine, I think. And you got...
I got a cup that I like.
Okay, it was a Stanley cup, to be clear.
Yeah, not to throw shade. It was a very nice cup. It's for warm coffee, and I either drink iced coffee or no coffee, except when I'm at home. Shout out Dad. But so I just wasn't gonna use it. So I was like, MK and Shelby, please take this.
Yeah.
And it worked out.
It did, and it was very fun. And then also shout out to Chase for throwing his annual Tall Boy Roulette Christmas party. There were 5
Which
of
I'm
us
sure
there, and it was very fun.
Which was a time. But lovely all around.
Yeah. And also right now all of my bridesmaids are in town in Dallas, and so we all and I'm off work and school until January. So last night we got dinner. And Madeline, I was just telling Alex this before the pod, but Madeline and I went to go get our nails done. And before that, we stopped at a new Barnes and Noble that's on where our parents were. So we knew we would have been there all the time, even though Madeline doesn't read, but we all would have hung out there all the time. It's this
cute.
Beautiful. It's so nice. I could have walked to it. And it was really funny because when my mom was telling me about it, she was like, anytime I didn't know where you were, I would have been able to find you there. And I was like, when did you not know where I was, Mom? I was a pretty good kid.
MK is not running the streets. Like,
It's not.
That's funny.
But
I need to go check out this Barnes and Noble.
it's, oh God, it's so good. The layout is like immaculate, honestly. Everyone was very nice there. But anyway, we got dinner last night and it was so good just seeing my friends again. I hadn't seen a lot of them in like months and months, so it was fun. And on my wedding day, only two of the girls were engaged, and now there's 3 of us married and 2 engaged and 1 with a boyfriend. And so it's like, oh, we're all like growing
Everyone's
up.
like, it's getting to that time.
The babies will be next year, you know?
Oh, my Lord. I'm not ready. I am ready for aunthood. Okay. I will be the fun aunt.
Yeah.
Like Auntie Alex. Maybe not that. That sounds weird, but I don't know.
I like Auntie Alex.
Auntie Alex?
You sound like a Percy Jackson villain. Speaking of,
I don't know how to take
today.
that.
Well, I was thinking Auntie M's Gnome Emporium.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean. I was thinking more of like a snack shop.
Like Auntie M's.
Yeah. Auntie Alex. So I really don't like either.
I think both are fantastic things to be.
We'll
You're
think of
either
another
Medusa
name.
or you're Yummy Pretzels. So.
Which is how I am in real life. We'll think of another name.
Look at me and you die. Or chomp chomp. Snack.
Here's a snack. Yummy. Jade and I have already talked about that. Like, first of all, she is going to have kids. It's a big if for me. But like, if she and I both have kids, that we want our grandchildren to call us Gigi.
Yeah, you were talking about that.
Oh, yeah. I did tell you that, huh? Yeah, so we're going to be little Gigi's. We need to come up with an auntie name, though. But that's nice that you got to see all your friends. It's hard when everybody like lives elsewhere, you know?
Yeah, we were talking about that too. Like when we have some friends who live in Fort Worth and like you would think that it would be like we're in the same metroplex. You would think it would be like easy to see your friends in Fort Worth, but it's almost easier seeing friends who come from out of state because you like are dedicating time to see them, whereas you're just like, oh, friend from Fort Worth, we'll just see each other eventually
Whenever. But like Fort Worth is not that close.
No,
I had to drive to Fort Worth today. It was like an hour.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And
Not
so like I'll see my friend Izzy when I go to school. Sometimes we'll get dinner before my class or something, but yeah, I haven't seen her in a while, and so I was like sad that she couldn't come to our dinner. And we were just talking about how she couldn't come because she was in Fort Worth, and that's a drive.
Yeah, that's like one of the things that I've learned as I've gotten older is like you really do have to like prioritize your fun time, because like we're not all in college together, or if you've known each other longer, like we're all not in high school together anymore. Like people are living their lives, and like you do have to like literally prioritize setting aside the time.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those adult things, but it's nice that y'all like made time together.
It was fun. It was, and I just like love how well all of my friends get together, they're all like ask each other like how they're doing, and like, or will ask me, you know, and
yeah.
as for updates, just like everyone's invested in each other and makes my little heart
It's
happy.
nice. It's like warm. It's very nice. Yeah. It's lovely. What are your Christmas plans?
So we always do Christmas Eve with Shelby's extended family, and we do not like super extended family, but Grandma, Papa, aunt, uncle, cousins, and then Shelby's family, and we'll do our Secret Santa. So we used to, like when I first started dating Shelby like 11 years ago, we did like everyone would get everyone gifts, and now we were like,
it's
okay,
too much.
Everyone get one person something that's $50, and
that's what our family's doing this year, because it's like too much.
It
like,
is. Yeah.
It used to be okay because like it was just, well, I have a lot of cousins. That's the problem. And so now that we're older, like they're bringing like their significant others and stuff, and it's like we can't be getting like 30 presents at a time. Like that's crazy. So I feel that.
Yep. Yeah. And Shelby and I started dating around the same time that Shelby's cousin Joanna started dating her girlfriend Caitlin, and so it was like we have to make sure, like it was just all of the significant others were like coming into the picture at the same time, and then not, you know, then Chance started having girlfriends and Riley started having boyfriends, and it was just like a whole thing. So
yeah, it's just easier, and that way like everyone feels less pressure, I feel like.
Oh yeah, especially as like a a teenager, like trying to get gifts for like my boyfriend's family.
Yeah, like that's like I would be stressed out. Like I would be like, okay, I need to get the perfect gift for every single one of these people who I kind of know, but not really that well.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, and that's the thing. When I give gifts, like I'm so particular about them. Like I'm like, okay, well, what is this person going to really like? Like, is this even for them? Does it remind me of them? Whatever. Yeah. And so it's a nightmare.
It is. But so we're doing our Secret Santa on Sunday.
Fun.
Or is that Christmas Eve?
Yeah, Christmas Eve is Sunday.
Okay. And then I have a big family, well, quote unquote big, for the Texas family on my mom's side who's in town. We'll have our like Christmas thing Saturday, which is just kind of like games, drinking,
fun,
snacks. And then we do Christmas morning with Shelby's family, like just immediate family, and then Christmas like lunch-ish, like lunch dinner, I don't know, with my family.
Cute.
And then we'll come home and spend the rest of the day with the kiddies.
Lovely.
What about you? What are your plans?
So Saturday, I believe, I hope I'm getting that right. Ants don't come for me, but we're having our like larger family Christmas, which we're doing a white elephant this year, as I said.
Nice.
So that'll be fun. I'm excited to see what everyone got because we definitely have some like a few goofs in the family. So
I remember one year I got like a like shitting Santa that sang.
That was actually hilarious. Did you keep it?
I mean, yes, I don't know. I think I gave it away the next year or something.
Yeah. That's funny. White elephants are such like a range. Okay. And it really does depend on like who you're doing the white elephant with. Because like, I don't know. I've been to white elephants where like I've literally gotten like a jar of mayonnaise, for example. And that was it. Like that was literally it. Or I've gone to white elephants where it's like a really great gift and stuff. So I'm interested to see what everybody got, everyone. I know what my mom got and I know what I'm giving people, and it's not a gag gift. So I hope that there are some sprinkled in there.
Are you doing a white elephant or a Secret Santa?
It's a white elephant.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're going to do that on Saturday. And then I'm going to stay with my grandparents until Christmas. And then, just have Christmas morning together. And then, unfortunately, I work the day after Christmas. So I will be hightailing it back to Dallas.
That's when this episode airs.
Yay! So check it out then. I will
be doing nothing.
As you should, girl.
I'm so excited. I won't be back in the office until January 2nd.
Yeah, you need it. You deserved a break. So I'm glad you've had this time.
Yeah. If you want to take us away for the quote, Alex.
If you win, Harriet, you win what you need most and the knowledge of what everyone else needed. But if you lose what you need most, as well as the secret of that. I think you'll agree the stakes are high. So we all play to win here because we know everyone else will do the same. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. This week's book is The Family Game by Catherine Steadman.
Woo! So our one sentence synopsis is: an author with a dark secret is engaged to one of the richest men in the US whose family has some dark secrets of their own. And ChatGPT, courtesy of Shelby using the word epic, created this masterpiece. In the shadowy realm of secrets, an enigmatic author, veiled in darkness, stands poised to unite with the scion of immense wealth. Yet, as their fates entwine, the echoes of hidden truths reverberate through the corridors of power, intertwining the mysterious narrative of a love forged in the crucible of concealed pasts.
The fact that they use crucible, that they just like threw it in there, is a lot. Like this is a Christmas thriller. It's okay. Like,
which is a very fun genre that I didn't know existed.
I liked it. I liked the genre. I did. And ChatGPT is so extra.
I know. I was like, this is a different book now. Like, I don't know what this is.
Corridors of Power. What? Veiled in, I mean, yeah, it's kind of veiled in darkness, but like reverberate. Anyway,
look, I don't know. We tried it again and it didn't come out any better. So we just stuck with this one.
We're sticking with the crucible.
So the Goodreads one sentence synopsis is a rich, eccentric family, a time-honored tradition, or a lethal game of survival. One woman finds out what it really takes to join the 1% in this riveting psychological thriller from the New York Times bestselling author of Something in the Water, Mr. Nobody, and the Disappearing Act.
And I'll go ahead and read the summary. Harry is a novelist on the brink of stardom. Edward, her husband-to-be, is seemingly perfect. In love and freshly engaged, their bliss is interrupted by the re-emergence of the Holbecks, Edward's eminent family and the embodiment of American old money. For years, they've dominated headlines and pulled society's strings, and Edward left them all behind to forge his own path. But there are eyes and ears everywhere. It was only a matter of time before they were pulled back in. After all, even though he's long severed ties with his family, Edward is set to inherit it all. Harriet is drawn to the glamour and sophistication of the Holbecks, who seem to welcome her with open arms. But everything changes when she meets Robert, the inescapably magnetic head of the family. At their first meeting, Robert slips Harry a cassette tape, revealing a shocking confession, which sets the inevitable game in motion. What is it about Harry that made him give her that tape? A thing that has the power to destroy everything. As she ramps up her quest for the truth, she must endure the Holbeck's savage Christmas traditions, all while knowing that losing the game could be deadly.
Okay, so I didn't read the
summary.
The summary before.
I did not. That was a lot. It laid kind of everything out.
It literally told you everything. And also, I didn't know that he was like separated from the family. Like, I knew he like took a step away from them, but
yeah, like I didn't get the separated vibe. Like, I got like he was just doing his own thing for a little bit. I mean, the summary was crazy. We probably should have read it. But well, because like literally it does literally explain everything that happened, like the chain of events. So all right. Onward.
Okay.
We'll come to find out that I was not a huge fan of this book. But MK did like it.
So The Family Game was published on September 29th, 2022 and was a nominee for Goodreads Best Mystery and Thriller. It currently has a 3.86 star rating on Goodreads. So more about Catherine Steadman. She's a white British actress and author based in London. She has appeared in leading roles on British and American television, as well as on stage in the West End, where she was nominated for a Laurence Olivier Award.
Okay.
She grew up in New Forest, Hampshire, and now lives in North London with her husband and daughters. Catherine's first novel, Something in the Water, was a New York Times bestseller with rights sold in over 30 territories, and she is also the author of Mr. Nobody and The Disappearing Act. So you might most notably know Catherine Steadman as Mabel Lane Fox in Downton Abbey.
No fucking way.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love Downton Abbey.
I've seen one episode of it.
Holy, okay, you need to watch. This is her?
Uh-huh.
I'm shocked. I had no idea. What a bad bitch. Okay.
Right?
First of all, for all you non-Downton Abbey watchers, you need to go watch it immediately because that shit was so good.
I know, I love it.
Like, so it immersed me. Like, before Bridgerton,
yeah,
that was like the first period drama that I was like obsessed with. And it's like I watch it with my family and we watch it like all the time. It's so good.
I know. Yeah. Shelby's aunt and uncle loved Downton Abbey too. And
so good.
In college, like the girls would have like Downton Abbey, like watching parties and I would go to them, but I didn't know what I was watching.
You were like, who are these people?
I'm here to have the teas and crumpets. Like,
and you should watch it with teas and crumpets. But yeah, I think honestly, y'all would like it.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's on HBO. Y'all have HBO?
Max, you mean?
Oh my God. Shut your mouth. Just like I'm not going to call Twitter X. Okay. I'm not going to refer to HBO as Max because what the hell is that? So no. But yeah, y'all would enjoy it.
Yeah. And then her debut novel, Something in the Water, was a Reese Witherspoon book club pick. So that's how I first heard of her as like an author.
Okay. I've heard of The Disappearing Act, but I have not read it.
Okay. I did read Something in the Water when it came out, I think in like 2019 or 2020, because I'm pretty sure I read it when I was in Ireland. Mm-hmm. And I liked it, but I actually thought this one was better.
Okay, cool.
So I love when an author like gets better you know, the
like
more
as
that they write.
write. Yeah, I agree. It's cool that she also does like the acting.
I know, and
That's
like
really
singing
cool.
and like
Yeah,
wow.
like multifaceted lady.
Every mystery that we've covered so far has been like a British woman author, and so I'm wondering if you just don't like the British woman author like novel, like mystery novel.
Okay, I wouldn't go as far as to say that. I just think that like the books that we randomly picked just happened to be like a miss for me. I am not coming for the white British lady. Okay, like
I'm not. I'm not making it that. I'm just saying like I'm just saying maybe it's just not your
it's not
cup
the
of
writing.
tea.
Yeah. No. Well, the thing is, like with this book, okay, so like with Ruth Ware, right? Okay, when we read her book, I didn't like the writing at all. Like I was like, okay, the story is bad. But this, I liked the writing.
Yeah.
The only thing I didn't like about it was the ending, which we'll cover.
Yeah.
So to give Catherine Steadman like credit, like I actually did really enjoy the book itself. And it was a quick read. I just didn't like the ending.
Yeah.
But perhaps we'll pick a different author.
Yeah, we'll try an American one next time.
Or anything.
Just not
Something
a British
else.
one. Maybe a British man.
I don't know how they could be better, but
But okay, so something that I thought was kind of funny specifically with British authors is when they write Americans, is that they don't always do a great job of making them American. Like I honestly thought Edward was more British than Harriet was.
Perhaps a little bit, yeah. Because I think, well, just like us with like any other country, like we kind of have like a vision of what a person, like a stereotype of what that person from the country would be like. So it is funny to read like as an American, like, well, and I mean, not that we're out here always on our best behavior, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it is interesting and funny to read like how we're perceived sometimes.
Well, and it was just like, it's very British to like respond in question, like, didn't I, or aren't I, or, you know, like say a sentence and then add like, didn't you, or whatever.
Yep.
And
so her little like British quirks were kind of coming through the writing. Yeah.
And I feel like most British authors do that. And like, it doesn't really bother me. I just think it's funny. Like,
it's cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even the Hallbecks names were super British, like Matilda and Oliver.
Yeah.
Like I haven't met an Edward in
a long time, if ever. I don't think I've met like an American boy named Edward ever.
No.
Yeah.
And Eleanor is a pretty like common older woman's name. So I but even still, it was like all of them just sounded very British to me.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Although Matilda's a cute name.
It is super cute. Like Maddie.
Yeah, that'd be cute.
But this is also the second book that we've covered that has a main character named Harriet who goes by Harry, which if you remember in The Happy Place, I did not like that character being called Harry. Like it did not match her at all.
No.
And I felt like Harriet at least matched this character a little bit better, but I still didn't really like her being called Harry.
Well, and I also feel like, I don't know why. There's no logic behind this, but I feel like a British woman named Harriet has a better time of being called Harry. I don't know why.
I agree.
It just seems to fit. Maybe it's their accent, like the way they say it. But yeah, Happy Place, that Harriet did not
she
fit Harry.
And even this Harry, I didn't really like being called Harry very much.
No, because I felt like
it was too cute of a name for like this thriller, you know, like.
Yeah, I agree. And like even just her personality, like I just didn't think it fit that
she wasn't
well.
a very like carefree kind of girly, and I felt like a Harry needed to be.
Yeah,
I don't know, just my opinion.
There's so many like parallels I drew from this book to like other books we read.
Oh really?
Yeah, like Happy Place is one of them, obviously because the name, but like another like woman pregnant dealing with like
that
her
just
soon
like,
to be.
I get it, but it also just like increases the stakes, you know?
It does, because she's like growing alive. But it was like when I first started reading, I was like, this is the it girl. And I was worried.
Don't disgrace this book.
I was worried because I was like, oh no. I was like, I was like, oh God, like I was on the flight and I started reading and I was like, please don't tell me I have to spend the next 4 hours like reading another It Girl, please. But it wasn't like that. It just happened to be like another.
That's funny. You even said that before I like started reading it, and when I was reading it, I didn't even like draw that parallel. I was just like, they're so like different in the.
No, immediately. Well, it's just because like I remember that head ass scene in the It Girl where she was like literally running through the streets, like thinking that her fiance, or wait, were they like? Were they married at the time or not? So. Okay, thinking that her little husband was like her, and then she ran directly to the killer's house, and I was like
barefoot.
Yeah, so badass. But when Harriet started suspecting, and like the fact that they were having a baby together, like I was like, oh my God, we're going down that path. But it wasn't. It wasn't. Just the only parallel was the fact that she was pregnant, and second guessing or the possibility that her significant other could be a killer.
Right. Yeah. So the book opens on Christmas Day with our main character, Harriet, coming to a mansion bloodied. She wants to escape, but she has a dubious past, and she doubts the cops will believe her if she tells them the story. She thinks a girl with a past tries to marry into money and all hell breaks loose. We all know how that story ends.
Mm-hmm.
And then it flashes back to about a month before on November 21st. Harriet, or Harry, met her boyfriend Edward at her first gala as a published author about a year ago. He saved her from an embarrassing moment, and immediately she sees him as a savior, not just for like this embarrassing moment of her heel getting stuck in a grate, but just like in her life in general, like sees it as like he's my like ticket to get out of this hell that I'm in, which we don't really know anything about her life between the ages of like 11 to
there's nothing.
What, 31? Like we don't know anything.
There's nothing. We know the worst time in her life.
Yeah.
But other than that, there's like it's a big question mark.
So she doesn't I don't know. We don't know anything about that.
Well, and like my whole thing is like considering her profession and like where she lives and like all that stuff. It's like, what hell are you trying to get out of currently?
Right, yeah.
Like, I'm confused. You're at this like gala. Clearly, you're not doing so bad.
It was for her first published novel.
It was for her first published novel, yeah. But I was just like, girl, what are you talking about? Like,
I know.
Anyway.
She says that everything Edward does is invested with this subtle shimmer of something gilded. She didn't know when she met him how rich he was, and other than like the standard richiness of people at galas.
Exactly.
So, like she knew he was like gonna be rich, but like yeah, exactly. Like how hard off can you be?
Right. Like what hell are you living?
So it does, and I'll get to this later, but throughout the whole novel, she like mentions how like she's not a good person and like they don't know what she's done and like this past she must escape. But like she honestly has escaped it.
I was gonna say, like, when we find out what it is, it's like, is it fucking terrible? Yeah. But like the life you're living now, girl, like
it's fine. You've lived 20 years without repercussions. You're fine.
Exactly. Like, I don't think you need to be using the term, like, I'm running from my past. Like,
right.
You're okay. Like,
and maybe she wasn't, but it seemed that she saw Edward as, like, this ticket to get away from all of it.
Ticket to, like, safety or something.
Yeah. Like, his money would save her, which it
obviously could. That's not how things turned out.
Well, and that's exactly so. 4 months ago, Harry makes the move from London to New York to be with Edward. So they're 8 months into their relationship, and she's like,
"Yeah,
I'm gonna hop the pond."
I'm gonna say something right now. Within the first few pages, I was thinking to myself, like on the plane, I was like, red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag. There was so many red flags. And I was like, why are these people together? Like, I was like, why what is happening here?
Honestly, yeah.
It was bad. It was real bad.
It was very evident to me that Edward and Harriet were not meant to be.
They were not meant to be. And it was just the fact that she had we'll get there. We'll get
there. She always figured that she'd end up in America since her mom was American, but she talks about both of her parents in the past tense. She says she was only 11 when it happened. And that's kind of like all we get for now. Since the move, she has become a best-selling mystery author. And I don't know if I put it in here or not, but even she was like, I'm in love. I'm like a best-selling author. Like now that I've moved here, like maybe I finally paid for my past mistakes. And I was like, we are 10 pages into this book, ma'am. You are an author. You should know. Like...
It was just deep sigh. Like I was not really a fan of Harriet either.
I didn't hate Harriet. I was indifferent.
I was like, she's there. I wasn't like rooting for her necessarily. I mean, obviously I wanted her to survive, but I was not like, I'm in love with this character or any of the characters.
She was the most rootable in my opinion.
Well, yeah, for sure. I wanted her at least to make it. Geez.
Everything seems to be going well, and she thinks that maybe she has finally paid for her past mistakes, like I was just saying. However, she still hasn't met Edward's family, and she has been late on her second book, unable to write, kind of in a funk. So he proposes on the Rockefeller ice skating rink with the whole rink singing Christmas carols around them. And she automatically is like, I can't fucking believe he did this. This
Red flag.
Yeah, she hates the publicness of it. She's British.
Well, not even that. She has so much anxiety about it.
Yeah.
And it's how can her partner not know that about her?
Because they've been dating for a year.
Well, exactly. That's the thing. They've been dating for such a short time. But even if you're at that point, in my mind, you would have had a discussion okay, well, if I were to pop the question, or just they've been in public places together, I'm assuming at this point, right? So he must know that she has a certain level of anxiety. So the fact that he was like, okay, light bulb, I'm going to propose in the fucking Rockefeller Center. What? Anyway, I felt bad for her.
I kind of thought it was funny.
What is funny about that?
Well, I really liked Edward at the beginning. I did. And so because
I'm rolling my eyes.
I know, because even though I say afterwards he recognizes her discomfort and apologizes, telling her she needs to speak up when he does something stupid like that so he can correct. The way that Steadman wrote him was apologetic for messing up. I just thought it was funny.
So he does the bare minimum and you're
I'm laughing. That's what I'm doing. All of this is a joke to me.
Oh my, what?
I think that's why I liked this book so much, because it was
funny to you.
Yeah, it was just an enjoyable, quick mystery.
Yeah.
It was almost a cozy mystery, minus some of the coziness.
I have different opinions. I can see where you're getting the funny bit, perhaps. By no means is this book a comedy. Okay. No, but I see what you mean. I don't think it was cozy.
I think the Christmasness gives it coziness.
Okay, I can give it that.
But because how I saw it as funny,
it wasn't as
it gave it a cozy vibe.
Yeah. Okay. We viewed it completely differently.
Yeah.
But I also think it's
and I think that's why I liked it more. If I took it as seriously as it probably is supposed to be, I probably wouldn't have liked it.
But you on the other hand are just this is a fun murder.
Technically, no one's
multiple
murdered yet.
murders. Oh, take that out.
Well, obviously someone's gonna die or be dead in the past.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe it's because I was just living through the hell of being on like a plane ride that I was like,
honestly, plane rides give everything like a much more sinister vibe. Like I was reading Ice Planet Barbarians and I was like,
what's
am I going to get abducted?
Yeah.
Like, from this plane?
I don't know how you got a joke out of it, but
look,
again, I think you were like the plane. We'll just say the plane.
I will say it was probably the plane. I had a good time. I was just tickled by it. I thought, because if you are getting engaged, it better be in a way that you like. And he just blatantly like
did not do that at all.
And then acted like, bitch, you better like tell me when you like are unhappy with it. Like,
red flag. I was angry. I think that's what it was. I was angry when
I totally, I think instead of anger, I was just like, they're all gonna die.
Like, yeah.
And also, like, especially when I rewrote the notes, like,
like just the chain of events.
After knowing what happens, and he's like, it has to be before Christmas, and like, I'm doing something purposefully that she won't like. Trying to get a reaction out of her, like now. Then I was
crazy.
Like, oh
yeah,
I see. I don't know. I just thought it was funny. So he gives her a beautiful garnet ring that was his great grandmother's. The next day, Tuesday, November 22nd, Edward leaves for a business meeting in San Diego, and Matilda sends Harriet a hand-delivered letter for her to attend tea. Unfortunately, this is during her meeting with her publisher, so she has to decline. She soon gets a call from her publisher changing the meeting time and being super accommodating and like saying like, don't even worry that you're not done with, like, just give us like a time frame on when you'll be done.
Red flag.
And turns out her publisher is a subsidiary of the Holbeck Company. And so Matilda like called the publishing company and asked them to change her meeting because Harriet couldn't come.
Yeah, that's red flag.
Insane.
Red flag behavior. I mean, like, I can't fathom the wealth that the fictional Holbecks have, but like, I just could never picture myself like behaving in that way. Like, if I invited someone to tea and they couldn't make it for like a legitimate reason,
change it to the next hour.
Yeah, like what is Matilda doing that is so pressing that they couldn't reschedule?
That's,
you know?
what I like, and it's never explained why Matilda does this.
And I think it's literally because they're just all entitled. Like they're like,
yeah, they
literally are just thinking like, I am who I am, therefore like people should just accommodate me.
Yeah, and even like when she's like, she has deadlines for her book. They're like, well, why can't you hang out with us? And she's like, I'm writing a book.
Like, they don't understand because they don't really work. Like,
yeah.
I mean, like, some of them do. Like, some of them are running, like, the company and things like that, or, like, doing other projects or whatever. Edward has his own company on the side. But, yeah, like, Matilda, it's clear that she doesn't have, like, a day job that she goes to or, like, actively working on something.
Right.
You know? So they don't they can't comprehend, like, someone having a deadline, someone like going to work, and someone just like not wanting to accommodate the Holbecks.
Insane.
It's crazy. It's crazy behavior.
Harriet thinks Matilda is supposed to be the most restrained member of Edward's family, and if this is restrained, then God help me. She doesn't even want to bother Edward with this. She wants to handle it on her own, which like I would be like, boyfriend or fiance, like, what is your sister doing? Like, yeah. This is insane.
Yeah.
And Matilda, like, tricks her into dinner, into Thanksgiving dinner, just saying, like, it's a family dinner.
Yeah, it's really fucked up. And, like, it's red flag after red flag. First of all, why is Matilda, like, basically manipulating Harriet into going to Thanksgiving dinner? Why is Harriet not talking to Edward about his crazy-ass family? Or at least talking about it, like, just being like, hey, so this happened. What the hell? Like, she called my literal job, you know?
Insane.
Like, it's crazy. Like, and it's strange that Harriet felt like she couldn't bother Edward with it, because homegirl this whole time is feeling like this insane amount of anxiety,
right?
And she's like not vocalizing it or setting boundaries with any of them.
No.
Red flag, red flag, red flag.
But I think it's also because she knows how much wealth they have, and like she knows that they can just like change her meetings and like.
But
I would immediately tell my fiance.
Yeah, exactly. Immediately.
No, like yeah.
Immediately. If she's supposed to be the most palatable of all of them, immediately I'd be like,
we're not doing it.
We're not. We're actually going back to London, and if not, bye. Like I'd be like.
So the next day at tea with Matilda is insane. When they first meet, Matilda is stony faced and then like breaks into this like good cheer, telling Harry how much Edward has told her and how she's the one, and on about like all of the good things that Harriet is or whatever.
It's like the uncanny valley.
It really is. Harry learns that Edward hasn't been involved much with the family due to his dad pushing his last relationships. And so the family needs Harriet to keep Edward a part of the family, like under the watchful eyes of the Holbecks. And then, as I said, Matilda tricks Harry into agreeing to Thanksgiving, saying it's just a dinner gathering and she's British, so she doesn't realize that it's Thanksgiving.
Here's another red flag. Matilda bringing up the fact that Edward has had problems, air quotes, with his past relationships. What the hell does that mean?
That's a great question. And she doesn't know anything about his past relationships.
Doesn't know a single thing. Red flag.
I will say the way that Matilda did word it was her dad was pushing the relationships.
The issue. Pushing the issues with the relationships. Like he caused them to like end or whatever.
Yeah. The dad was doing it, not the way that Matilda worded it.
Yeah.
So.
And I'm sure that's just what Edward would love everyone to think.
Yes. Everyone also, if you're going to get married, talk about your past relationships.
I mean, like to an extent, right? Like if something, because what we'll come out to find out later is like these relationships ended in a really bad way. So like if you're going through these like traumatizing times, maybe share that with your partner. It's just, it's just a nice thing to do. Not that y'all need to go into like the full roster or whatever of like, okay, well, I did this with this person on this date, but like just have like a casual conversation about it. Why? Because the thing is, at this point, it's almost like he purposely didn't tell her.
Wow.
Surprise. Another red flag.
Okay, so the next day, she's feeling nauseous and vomiting and crying. And I'm like, she's pregnant and they're not going to say anything until the end of the book. I was going to be so mad if it was one of those things where it's like, why am I feeling so nauseous? Obviously, you're pregnant. Of course.
Well, she was like having morning sickness and she was like, okay, well, I just have food poisoning.
Okay.
Whatever you need to tell yourself, girl. I mean, whatever you need. And another thing is like, I don't know. It was so strange to me that they had not met his family until they were engaged. That was such a strange thing to me.
It was intentional.
It was intentional. But I was like, if I'm dating someone, like in my mind, and we're getting to that point where I'm like, they could be like possibly going to the next level soon. Like, and your family literally lives in the city that we're living in. Why have I not met them?
Especially a family as like famous as the Holbecks.
Yeah, like it's strange. Did y'all ever watch Succession?
No.
Oh, that's another show I should watch. Okay.
I know.
This was giving very much Succession vibes.
I'm sure, yeah. But again, like I took this book like not as seriously as that. Like,
I did.
I was just having a good old time, like reading about these rich people who are all fucked to like.
And that's another good point. Maybe that's another reason why I took it so seriously. It was the plane and the fact that I've watched Succession, and I was like, these people cannot be trusted. Bad things will happen.
Well, I already knew they couldn't be trusted.
Well,
obviously,
no, they could not be trusted.
Point of the book.
But I was also not like tee.
I'm just like frolicking in the fields with this book. And so it's confirmed that she is pregnant in the chapter that she talks about morning sickness, and they're both thrilled. However, it is very concerning that in a month she will be bloody and unconscious.
Facts. I will say, in these books, in these thriller books, where the writer has the main character pregnant, those women put that fetus through a lot, okay?
So much.
So much. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but this cannot be healthy. Like, I would be deeply concerned for the health of everybody.
Yeah. I would not be surprised if that child had like some residual like
problems,
anxiety from trauma that they go through.
Crazy.
So they go to the family doctor and learn that she's about 8 weeks pregnant. And since they use the family doctor, when I was writing these notes, I was like, I can only assume the whole family will know by Thanksgiving dinner that night. And surprisingly, to an extent, I was wrong in this aspect.
Well, like, why would she think any differently? Like, the whole books have a family doctor. Like, it makes sense that, like, the patriarch would know.
Right.
Everything that goes on.
Harriet asks Edward who will be there at dinner. So it'll be his mom, Eleanor, his dad, Robert, Matilda, Oliver, the younger brother, and his wife, Fiona, and their 3 sons, Stuart, the youngest brother, and his girlfriend Lila, who is a Scandinavian model turned actress, and Lila's son Milo from a previous marriage, Nancy, who is his dad's general counsel, Nunu, the family nanny.
I hated that name.
Yeah.
Nunu?
Weird.
That's what my mom used to call my vagina. The Nunu. I'm assuming that your mom did not call your vagina.
My mom never talked about my vagina, thank you.
Technically, it's called the vulva, but yeah, up until I was like, probably until, well, even when I started my period, which was 12, which was far past when we should have been referring it as a new, but
this is why everyone should call body parts what they are.
Exactly.
So you don't end up calling your nanny a vagina.
Oh,
don't worry, she doesn't play an important part in this book.
oh.
And the last person that will be there is Marty Fullman, who also doesn't play an important part in this book. But
Who is Marty?
He's the COO of the Holbeck Company, and his dog, Grog, will also be there.
That's what my mom called penis. I'm just kidding.
Don't touch my Nunu or Grog. I think there needs to be a sticker.
Steadman, why did you?
Now that we got bodily anatomy out of the way. I also why is the dog there? Why? There was no purpose of the dog being there.
My whole thing is that grog sounds like a holiday drink.
Yeah,
a
like
swamp.
blood, yeah.
Like swamp. Like a swamp. It sounds like a swamp, a grog.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Or a penis. But my whole thing is why do writers insist on putting in these characters that have nothing to do with the story?
Because
and
then
never
we would
come up again.
Yeah, we'd have no suspects otherwise. Although this was for sure an inside job, this book one.
Oh, okay. Man.
So, okay, back to the story. Harriet's realizing that she is marrying the eldest son, which means, something in society families. So she's realizing that there might be a lot of scrutiny around her. And that's why he has stepped away from the company. So, whoever he loves doesn't have, the breath down their neck or whatever. That's how she's saying it in her mind.
Whatever you need to tell yourself, girl.
Yeah.
Whatever.
To the extent that to the extent that he let Oliver take over the family company while Edward works on a startup company. And that's correct to an extent. So this Holbeck home, which there is multiple, of course, is a Manhattan townhome with gargoyles, which costs about $57 million. She's going on about how nervous she is and reminds herself that, quote, beginnings are always hard, almost as hard as endings.
Foreshadowing.
We learn that Edward's dad, Robert, spent a lot of time here during the week for work while him and his siblings stayed at the Hydes, which is their home in upstate New York. When she meets everyone, they seem nice, and it's apparent to her that Robert is not in attendance since everyone's having a good time. She just, assumes that he's going to be this intimidating presence, which she's not incorrect about. Oliver looks to be at least 5 years older than Edward and has a different accent, so I'm immediately thinking there's a situation where, the mom married into the family and had a previous marriage or, child out of wedlock or something. And she just explains it away as he's in charge of the business, so he just looks older. And
I was like, why? Why put that
I went
detail
down a
in
rabbit
there?
hole on this.
Yeah, why put that detail in there? And isn't he supposed to be the youngest?
He's the middle.
He's the middle child.
So he's only 2 years younger than
Edward,
yeah. When Robert comes in, Harry immediately thinks of him as attractive and that Edward and his dad look super alike. The way she is drawn to him feels super weird and sinister.
Oh my God.
And she equates it to craving pickles when you're pregnant, which she is. And it just felt super gross.
It made me cringe so hard. I felt so gross reading this. And it was such a red flag for her.
Yes. Your husband's going to look like that in a couple years anyway. Calm down.
Listen. This is not to deny the older man lovers out there, right? There are some very attractive silver foxes out there. But as you going into a home of a family you've never really met before, and you're pregnant, about to get married, you walk in, you see the dad for the first time, and your first thought is to be sexually craving him as you are pregnant, craving pickles. Crazy.
Well, and it's
disgusting.
You can say he's attractive. It's an objective
opinion.
It's an opinion.
Yeah.
Especially you are marrying his son. Yeah. It makes sense.
It makes sense.
But what's freaking weird is that she when they make out, she thinks of him.
Yeah, that's the thing. No matter if you're in a relationship or not, most likely you're going to think that there are other attractive people out there. It's just human nature. It's fine. Okay. But it's to the level that she's stating, I am verbatim sexually attracted to Edward's father.
Ew.
And I'm also going to start picturing him when I'm making out with my husband to be. Disgusting.
Very weird.
Disgusting.
Ew.
And how she always describes that there's this energy between them. Hello. Okay, hello. You scared me. Hello, baby.
He's feed me or I'll die.
You're fine, but I will give you pets. All right. I feel like an evil villain now. Joey's sitting on top of my chair. I'm
you are Robert Holbeck.
Kitty.
It was
disgusting.
I did not like that at all.
No, not at all.
So during dinner, Harry is sat next to Fiona and Lila, and she asks if Nunu has always been the family nanny. We already had this discussion.
She has been the family fanny. Hey.
That was good. They mention that the first nanny left with what happened to Bobby. So this is the first time we're hearing of Bobby. Who is Bobby? Why was she not informed of Bobby
again
going into her family's home?
This homeboy has been through trauma with his past relationships and with his brother, who we did not know of his existence until right now. Why has Edward not shared this with Harriet? Strange.
Super weird.
Red flag.
So when she goes to the bathroom, one of the kids, Billy, who's a toddler, like 3 or 4, comes up to her and cries that the other kids are going to make him sleep in Bobby's room. So she goes up with him to investigate and like get some answers on her own. And it's just a guest room now and nothing spooky is happening. But she runs into Edward and asks him to tell her who Bobby is. Before he can get to it, Eleanor interrupts them for dessert. After dessert, Robert asks Harriet to join her in his study for a tea, since everyone made a big deal about her not drinking the wine, but Matilda reassured them that she was sick earlier this week. They sit down and Harry notices a picture of J.L. Holbeck above the fireplace, who is Edward's great-great-great-grandfather, and, quote, the man who started it all. She thinks, it must be hard to look at him every day to know that everything in your life is due to the hard work of another man. And no matter how hard you strive, no matter how much you achieve, in your heart, you'll always question how much of it was due to you. Hard to be faced with that kind of legacy every day. But here I am, feeling sorry for a billionaire. There's definitely some weird flirting thing that's going on between her and Robert that makes me super uncomfortable and personally I didn't think needed to be in the story necessarily.
I agree.
He definitely likes to tease with word games, and Robert tells her that he liked her book and calls her clever. They bond about both being orphans, which is a fun little thing to bond the first time you meet. And he ends by saying, this is not about Edward. This is about us. If I lose a son in all of this, I hope at least that I might gain a daughter. What?
That's actually foreshadowing as fuck. But also, why the hell would you say that?
Imagine not in the, like, when I first read that, I was like,
what?
What son?
What are son? You? Yeah. Like, why are you? This is the first time they've ever had a conversation. Why the hell would he say that?
Insane.
Red flag. Honestly, if you're listening to this should just be a drinking game and like you take a drink every single time I say red flag because it's a lot. It's a lot. And we're not we're not even halfway through this book.
It's crazy. Yeah. So who are we talking about? Why would he be losing a son? Are we talking about Edward or one of the others? And why would he want to gain a daughter? Like he has Matilda. Like all of it's just insane. And like it totally makes sense once you know the ending, but if you don't, you're like, huh? Who? What? So Robert gives her a dictaphone tape and wants her, quote, expertise on a thriller he wrote. And she says, why a thriller? And he says, quote, I like their mechanics, their intricacy, but in the end, all is explained. That kind of clarity, it's so rare we find it in life. So she compares her taking the cassette as Adam offering Eve an apple.
Disgusting.
Gross. He wants to keep it between them for now. And immediately
I'm telling my fiance.
I'd be like, oh, look, your dad wants like my expertise on this. Like, I'd be like, this is great. Like, we're bonding. But there are so many weird things going on here.
The dynamics are just so freaking weird. And it's so gross. It made me such like feel so icky, like such an icky feeling.
And like looking back, I think it was all her. Like I don't think Robert did a damn thing.
I think it was mostly in her mind, the sexual tension. Yeah. I think he probably found her attractive and liked instead of more of the sexual attraction, was attracted in the fact that they were going to play this little game.
Right.
Like, I don't think he was like, oh, yeah, like I feel this sexual tension with my soon-to-be daughter-in-law. But weird. She was like, guns ahoy.
It's so weird. And so when I was writing these notes, I was thinking... Because I would be like, immediately I'm showing this to my fiance.
Yeah.
I think that's why she did put that sexual tension in there, so that it could feel like something special between them. Like she wanted to have a connection that only like her and him had.
I think she has daddy issues.
Well, obviously.
I think that.
That's also a good point.
Like, because she states early on, like, I've never, like, although Edward is basically telling me all these red flags about his family. Like, I still want to give it a shot because I've been without my family for so long. So I think that's like kind of the backbone of her even diving into this. But then, as you said, like when she and Robert have this conversation, she immediately feels this like sexual tension for her soon to be dad-in-law. Disgusting. But I also think that she likes the idea of like this super powerful billionaire man finding her, little old Harriet, even though she's like a successful writer and living in New York and yada yada yada, to be special. And that they have like a shared secret. And I think it also helps her feel like she has an in with the family.
And also, like, now that she's pregnant, she wants her kid to have a family, because obviously she doesn't have one. So it would be nice if her husband could provide a family.
Yeah. And obviously just the whole fact that she's a woman, he's an attractive man, there's always that involved.
Friggin' books. All right. On their way back home, she asks about Bobby, and we learned that he was the oldest brother, and he died when Edward was 18, and Bobby was 20. There's no news about it anywhere. It was pretty much wiped from existence, and Edward explains it as he was mixing meds, Adderall, with painkillers from an old injury. I immediately know that it's not that. It's super apparent that Edward's leaving out some details.
Yep.
And so now my current theory when I was reading this is that Oliver, the like 16-year-old, died. But it was an easy way to make Edward the head. And so like Bobby became Edward because he looks older.
I was thinking something along the lines of that. Not with Oliver, but I was thinking that like, who was it? Edward, quote unquote, was like one of the younger sons, and he offed Bobby, quote unquote, you know, to like switch. Basically, the murder happened to like switch the hierarchy. That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
The next day, Friday, November 25th, Harriet notices someone following her on the train. And now I'm starting to think that that's potentially Bobby. Maybe he was just like outed from the family. She buys a dictaphone, and it, of course, has an easy way to get recorded over. So that's like definitely going to happen.
The fact that it's mentioned so repeatedly.
However, because of her deadline for her next book, she has to put the dictaphone away and finish her new draft as soon as possible. Edward's mom, Eleanor, calls and asks if they'll come for Christmas, but she says she isn't sure how Edward feels about that, and tells her, then like goes off on this whole thing about how she needs a house cleaner and a chef because, quote, chapped hands help no one, and then sends a maid the next day to her home.
Red flag.
I would be like, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Honestly, I would be like, thank you. But I would also be like, you probably should have waited for me to be like, hey.
You overstepped.
Yeah. Like, I would be like, I would sit my mother-in-law down and be like, hey, I really appreciate it. But also, you probably should have waited until I asked you for this. Basically. Because, like, the maid just shows up.
Yeah.
There's no, like,
and she doesn't kick her out.
She doesn't kick her out at all. I was just like, hey, I'm here.
Insane. So 2 weeks later, on Monday, December 12th, she submits her draft. She ditches her old draft and rewrites it to be a book about a family with a secret and a missing son who comes back. Are you kidding?
I was like, roll my eyes.
Insane.
Like, is she really strapped for ideas that hard?
You have a like whole life of trauma that you could have used.
For real.
So Fiona, Oliver's wife, asks her if she'll join the family for Krampusnacht, which is a family tradition. Krampus is the Christmas devil punishing bad kids and dragging them to hell. So already some weird connotations.
As soon as they mentioned Krampusnacht, I was like, this is not going to be good. Not at all.
I was scared.
I was scared during this part.
Oh my God.
Was like,
you were reading this on the plane?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Like,
I would have been like shaking.
I was like, oh my God. But like, I know what Krampus is.
Right.
Okay. We all know what Krampus is. And so why are they having like just a Krampus celebration? I understand it's like Eastern folklore and like people actually do celebrate that. And that's fine. But like to have an American family night where you're celebrating Krampusnacht, with a new person who's pregnant, I was like,
Okay, but also like most cultures just celebrate it by putting their shoes out. Like
right.
that's what you do.
Exactly. Like it's not like this whole charade that they do. And I was scared. I really was. I was
kind of was too.
Oh my, because that is insane.
This is when I was like, oh, should I be taking this more seriously? Like I was like,
I was already there, and then I turned it up like 55 notches because I was like, oh. And it's such a crazy scene to write.
It's insane.
Like, it's such a crazy scene to write. Like, it's like, oh my God. Because like what? And first of all, this is the problem with Harriet. She just goes along with these things too willingly.
Oh, like
too willingly. Like, I'm sorry. I don't care if this is some fun game that you think your family plays. I have to know the rules. Yeah, like, and for Edward to not tell her anything. Like, I know that's part of their like fun little like, okay, well, to get in the family, like you have to do it without knowing anything. Like, I don't care. I don't care about your family that much to put me into this situation.
Especially like she knows she's pregnant. Probably everyone else knows she's pregnant. Insane. Okay. So there's a secret that she has been alluding to in this whole book, and we're assuming that it's something to do with like killing her family or like killing the witnesses of like, we don't know what happened. She killed someone.
Basically, all we know is that her parents are dead and she has involvement in that in some form.
Right. She says, good people don't do the things I've done. And so for a long time, I was like, did she just like witness her parents die and like for some reason think that she's to blame? Because like that's a whole thing.
Yeah.
But thankfully, it was a little bit more meaty than that. She is nervous that these people know like what happened that day 20 years ago. And she's afraid that if Edward knew, he wouldn't love her anymore. And like these people are so powerful that she's like, could they have done like this research and like found it out somehow? But like there weren't any, she says there weren't any witnesses, like things like that. So I don't know. The next day, she listens to part of the tape Robert gave her, and we are to assume that this is from Robert's point of view when Bobby dies. I assumed immediately that Edward or someone in the family pushed or threw Bobby off the Holbeck Manhattan townhome. And like the news reports said he killed himself. The pressure of being the eldest was too much, and the mix of meds made him depressed. Robert then supposedly kills the girl who was there when it happened. And at the end, he says, don't take this as a threat, Harriet. Take this as it is, a work of fiction. But do know that my family protects itself.
Roll my eyes. He could have...
So many different ways he could have done this.
So many different ways.
So she freaks out when she hears her name, like, on the tape. Because he proposed this to her as a book.
Like a thriller.
Yeah. So Harriet stops listening. She realizes that Edward lied to her about the extent of Bobby's death. She also realizes on her walk through Central Park to calm down that the same man that was following her on the subway is still following her. She thinks it's Robert's doing, but to be honest, this is not explained.
This is not explained at all. Like she's being... Okay, so as soon as she starts listening to the tape, of course... someone across the subway is like watching her. She feels eyes on her. She's like, oh my God. And she sees a guy in a baseball cap. And then he continues to follow her as she's like listening through these tapes. And like, it's not explained who hired him, why, none of that.
Yeah, none of it makes sense. And he like looks surprised to see him. Like, none of it makes sense. After some deep internet sleuthing, she finds the blonde girl Robert talks about in the tape to be the first nanny, Samantha Belson, and she registers their similarities between their like features, I guess, like between her and Samantha. 2 days later, on Thursday, December 15th, Harriet meets with retired NYPD Lieutenant Deontay Hewley, who helped her with police information on her first book. She's now pretending that her situation is similar to what's happening in real life. Like she's pretending the book situation is similar to what's happening in real life to get his opinion on what to do. And what I did actually really enjoy about this book was how like meta it was, in the sense that like we like mysteries because they're always explained at the end. Like just books about authors are always really fun to me for that kind of like fourth wall breaking experience. Mm-hmm. He says, I don't want to be screaming at this book about why she didn't copy the cassette. I thought that was really funny. And I just really enjoyed these like little nods at breaking the fourth wall, which was another thing that like made it more humorous to me.
I did like this. And I did like the detective character.
Yeah. She emails a ton of Samantha Belsons from Facebook and somehow actually reaches the right one. It seems she didn't die after all, and they plan to meet later next week. It is now Krampusnacht, Friday, December 16th, and Harry hasn't finished listening to the tape because she doesn't know how to face Robert. She is paired with Billy, who's the like 3 or 4 year old toddler, for the Krampus race, and is pretty unsettled about the whole thing. No one really explains the game at all. And like she just like has to take her shoes off at the front door, and then they're like, okay, go.
So fucked up.
It's insane.
So fucked up. And to pair her with like a 3-year-old child. And like, first of all, why are children that young even playing this? I'm sorry.
Why is anyone playing this
Why
game?
is anyone... That's a better question. Why is anyone doing this?
Or
it's
like
sick.
Or be just like an obviously dressed up like oh, that's dad in a Santa costume. You know, like do that.
Yeah. Or like, I don't know, everyone be in the same room and then like Krampus comes in and like, you know, but that's like Uncle whoever.
You. Yeah.
Yeah. And like gives you coal or something. Like this whole production is so crazy.
Then the game starts and the Krampus seems to be an actual fucking creature with like sharp teeth and skin torn off of his face and like dripping blood, like super insane.
So like how they do it is, so they haven't explained anything to Harriet. And Fiona is like, okay, so you're going to be paired with my 3-year-old child, red flag. And we can't tell you anything because that's part of the fun of it, red flag. And also everyone who's not playing with the children, aka only you and Lila, the only adults playing this, everyone else who are adults are going to be watching the whole thing for funsies.
Well, we don't know that they're watching. She doesn't know that yet.
Oh, until later.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, still red flag. So basically,
like they're just going to be in the room like having drinks next door.
Yeah, they're going to
while
be
this creature
comes in
to your home.
So everyone kind of like, they're like, okay, the game's going to start. And the lights turn off. And suddenly she's in pitch black darkness with the 3-year-old kid. And they hear a scream. It's like a blood curdling scream. And she realizes that this creature, literally as MK just described it, basically like a goat with like devil horns, is like dripping blood and like coming in through the front door.
Insane.
And the children are all screaming. It's chaos.
And everyone runs away because of course you would.
In the dark. So after racing around a little bit, they land on the top floor playroom. The only thing that she knows for sure is that they have to get the evergreen stick that ends the game because Krampus is like allergic to evergreen or something insane. And that's another thing. She has never been in this house before.
No.
Everyone, although I absolutely do not agree with the kids playing this game, at least they've been in the house before. So they know the layout of like where stuff is. She doesn't know anything.
No, I mean, and Billy's 3. Like he can't be like, he can't do anything.
He can't tell her anything.
No.
The other kids who are older, they've played this before. So they kind of know, well, they do know exactly like what happens. But so she has to like find out information from them. Billy is just, this is his first time.
No, he's played every year, but he's just like 2.
Cognizant. Yeah.
Okay. Eventually, 2 more make it up to the playroom and explain that there's a clue inside the oldest player's name. What? No one told her that. How was she supposed to know? So they work out that it's hereditary using her first, middle, and last name. Weird. Why do you know that about me?
And they did it on purpose. She's the oldest.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be pissed.
I'd be insane.
Literally shitting myself, and I'd be livid.
So she in her mind is like, I'm just gonna hang up out here until this game's over.
Yeah, because like I'm not
insane.
playing. Like I'm gonna stay with Billy. He's a child. He's scared.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And he honestly is just kind of like, whatever. Like for most of it.
For most of it.
So they conclude that the evergreen stick that ends the game must be on the top of the plaque in the basement, since the house has remained in the family for generations. So of course they're in the like top floor. So she has to use the like freaking drop hatch, like servant quarter elevator thing to go down to the basement. And she's not going to let the kids do that because it's freaking dangerous.
Well, and Billy literally urinated himself. Like that's how scared he was.
No, he wasn't that scared because
he did.
Well, he did pee himself, but Fiona was like, I tell him every year to go pee before the game.
Well, I took that as very seriously. Like I was like, he urinated himself out of like sheer fear.
It's also because he's 3.
I took it very seriously.
It was not that
I was
serious.
like child abuse. Like I was like,
no, because most of the time he's just like, sorry, mom told me to pee before and I didn't.
I took it as this boy is literally crying throughout this whole thing, which he was. And
he
like,
wasn't.
Completely. He was scared. He was very scared.
He wasn't that scared.
Girl, yes, he was very scared.
He was not that. He was scared. He wasn't that scared.
I'm going to reread it. And he was very scared.
Okay. He was fine. Because he's been doing it his entire life. Like, this is expected of them.
He's like hiding his face and crying and urinating on himself. It's scary. I took it very seriously.
I didn't.
Okay, that's fine.
So they use the drop hatch, but only Harry goes down since it's dangerous. She hears the Krampus down there and has to turn on her flashlight. She turns on the light and grabs the stick, but the Krampus has her against the wall and is like feeling her up, which is very weird. And then all of like her anger for the whole night washes over her and she just punches the Krampus in the face and yells evergreen, which ends the game. The lights automatically turn on and everyone rushes in. Fiona comes to get her and the medic checks on the Krampus, who's just a hired CGI stunt actor. You kidding me?
Mm-mm.
Fiona cleans up Harry since Billy peed on her, and she learns that everyone watches the game through the security cameras. Cool.
I'd be illegal. So pissed. I'd be so angry.
Ultimately, it was a test to see if Harry can be a part of the family, and she's livid.
Like, it's just weird that they're testing her at like every fucking corner. Like, it's just like, why put that much effort into this like Krampus knocked night, and like why all these tests? It's just so fucking
And it's
strange.
also weird that Lila was part of it too.
Yeah, I agree.
Who is Stuart's girlfriend. She wins a beautiful diamond tennis bracelet from Krampus, like in her shoes, but is obviously and rightfully incredibly furious. And her and Edward fight until the morning about it, and it's their biggest argument yet. But after their sonogram, they're back to normal and excited for their future with their child. I would not be over. I would not be over it.
I couldn't just let it go like that. Like it was nothing. Like this is something that I would be like, I can't be a part of this family.
Yeah, I'd be like, that's it.
I'd be like, this is it. And the thing is, I wouldn't even have gotten to this point because I would have voiced how I was feeling beforehand and like drawn numerous boundaries and left. Like, or basically be like, okay, like, listen, if you really love me that much, like, we need to figure this out because I'm not going to be around your family at all. Like, sorry.
On Monday, December 19th, Harry meets Samantha Belson, the first nanny in Philadelphia, and they realize it's not actually her who Robert was talking about in the tape. It was Bobby's ex-girlfriend. Samantha can't say much because of the NDA that all the staff sign when you work for the family, but she does warn Harriet to get out now while she still can. When she gets back home, she looks through Edward's things and finds a picture of Bobby and the girl. On the back, it says Bobby and Lucy 2001. And after extensive Googling, she finds that Lucy is still missing, and the realization that the tape is a confession dawns on Harry. So she sits down to listen to the next part of the tape. And when he said the second girl was harder than the first, I audibly gasped. Like, I put the book down.
Yeah.
Insane.
Insane to be listening to this, like, just over a tape.
And, like, at your husband, or, like, soon-to-be husband's house, like, he's related. Insane.
Because, like, literally, what do you do in that situation?
I don't run. I'd go back to London.
911.
Robert implores again that this recording is just for Harriet and to not tell Edward. He then explains that he knew what she did the day her parents died, how she lit the drunk driver's car on fire, the one who killed her parents. He says a child forced to do an adult's work. He says they are not so different. They do what needs to be done. And this is smart of him because now she can't turn in the tape to the police without, like, subjecting herself. He says he will ask for something to be done in return. Yikes.
Big yikes.
She now has this weird sense of being known. This is the first person who has ever acknowledged what has happened to her and what she did, and they didn't run away. She killed him because she wanted to see him punished for the crimes that he did to her, and she refuses to believe that her and Robert are the same, though she murdered once. And she says she murdered once, and while she doesn't regret it, she doesn't want to do it again, which is like... okay.
Like, all right, girlfriend. I can see it feeling like her feeling relieved. Like, I can see that this would be like kind of a weight off her shoulders, but she's still drawing like a weird parallel between her and Robert. And like,
yeah,
I don't know. Just, he's literally confessing to murder at this point, multiple murders. And like, the dynamic is weird.
It is so weird. Edward comes home on Wednesday, December 21st, with the news that the Hong Kong investor wants to buy the startup for a huge price. It's like $2.8 billion or something insane. More than what the Holbeck's company could even buy for. They also agree to go to Christmas at the Hydes. Usually only married partners can stay there for Christmas, but this year they are making an exception for Lila and Harry. She can't think of a plausible excuse not to go, since if she doesn't, Robert will know it is because she's scared. She then decides that she has to finish the tape before they go for Christmas. And the next part of the tape, he gives her the names of the people he's killed and like the years that he did it. And to me, it felt like he wanted her to take over as like the protector of the family. Like he was like preparing her to like be the next murderer.
Yeah, I don't know why he thought, if that's what we were assuming at this point, like was his goal, like why he thought she would just be like okay with it because she killed the person who literally murdered her parents. Like he talks a lot about like the family protecting itself,
right?
And it's like, why were you throwing that around so much in the tapes? Because like what we come to find out is like,
it doesn't seem that way.
It's not what was happening.
She finds out. So obviously there's Bobby, then there's Lucy, who was the girlfriend of Bobby. Then she finds out that Allison's death, the third one, was cited as a suicide, and the fourth one, Gianna, her close friend, was plagued by not seeing the signs of her depression and turned to drugs, resulting in her own death. They were both at MIT with Edward, and most likely she's thinking he dated Allison, then Robert killed her, and Gianna figured it out, so was forced to kill her too. There's a 16-year gap before the next victim, which is Matilda's girlfriend, Eliza. She is still said to be missing, likely settling back in her home country of Lebanon. And then the last one was Stuart's personal assistant, Melissa. Her picture is still on the website, so she calls up pretending to be her dentist and is like able to get her address, which is insane. That's not how that would work.
That was crazy that it worked like that.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, what?
After some investigation, Harry figures that Melissa is dead, but someone is paying her bills and answering her emails, ultimately like making her fade away. She calls Deontay, her cop buddy, who tells her the main character of the book can either do what the powerful man tells her to do or kill him herself. And she asks legally if she could get away with it. And he said, absolutely not. But in a book, it would be fine. Like, if you have likable characters. And again, I'm just like,
what is she thinking? Like, she obviously knows that if she murdered someone, she can't just be like, well, it's because he was super creepy and confessed to all these murders. Like, that's not how the legal system works.
No. But again, I thought it was very fun, like kind of just the meta references. It was fun. He reminds her to always leave a trail, so she sends a letter to her friend and agent Louisa, her lawyer in London, saying only open in the event of my death. And Deontay, her cop buddy, leaving him a short and sweet message, but based on what it said, he would get what she was saying. She sends the changes of her manuscript over to reflect what she is living through and then packs a paperweight to bring to the Hydes just in case she needs a weapon. On Friday, December 23rd, before heading to the Hydes, they get the gender of their baby. They're having a girl and naming her Iris. We learn a little bit more about the Hydes. So J.L. Holbeck demolished the building that was originally there and brought back a stone palace that his wife liked in Budapest. And she was just sad that no one kept up with it. So he just had it shipped on over to America.
Wild.
Also, since it's stone, it should be able to burn down, but oh well. He had it shipped back and recreated. They go straight to the tea room where everyone is, which I think's weird. Like, they don't even like give her a tour.
Yeah, like, come see our family home. Like
set your bags down for, like, I don't know. She just goes like straight into the tea room with everyone before just like revealing that she's pregnant with a baby.
I think it was odd how they did that too. Like, arrival for Christmas, y'all are in the tea room, and they're kind of like, and we're having a baby.
All of it was weird. So then after like they announce that and have tea, Eleanor finally gives them a tour of the house. And there's a new wing that's indestructible that burned down when they were kids and is now locked with a keypad. And it's evident that Edward does not know the passcode.
Well, and why did it burn down? We were never talked about that either.
Good point, but also like things happen.
Yeah.
It's a big house. She slips away for a bit to finish the tape, and Robert tells her a little bit of Krampus knocked. So it would have been helpful if she listened to this like all in one sitting, but whatever.
Probably.
And tells her of another game they play during Christmas Eve, insisting that she has to play alone and all will be revealed. He also tells her to wear a flower that is left in her room as a sign that she has listened to the tape and is willing to play their frickin' games. He also tells her that the rooms have not been cleared since they were children and that some information may be gleaned from her poking around there, which could be considered like he's helping her with the game, which we'll soon find.
Yeah. I liked that he gave her like a little clue.
Yeah. On Christmas Eve, she decides she has to play the game. You know, she has to know. They get up and walk around that morning, and Ed shows her the massive hedge maze and the old well. They run into Lila as she is leaving to go pick up Milo, her son, from her ex, and now that she's leaving, Harry feels vulnerable and has like one less ally at her side, which I don't blame her.
I'd be terrified.
While walking the grounds, Harry asks Ed to show her the hides for deer hunting because, quote, if worse comes to worst, I won't be able to run. I'll have to hide. Since the nearest town is 10 miles away. So pretty much, like, it's insane because she's, like, resigned herself to death at this point.
Yeah, like, she's so like willing to go along with whatever Robert is doing, and like, I don't know, side eye a little bit. Like,
so weird.
I'm just like, aren't you thinking about your girl and like your baby girl? And like, why are you so like, okay, well, I'm going to go to the Christmas house knowing that I'm probably not going to make it out. Like, I just.
Insane. At dinner, she wears the flower that Robert asks her to. And he takes her to the side for a moment to emphasize that she must play alone tonight, and then they can like talk afterward. They sit for dinner, and she says, and her like she thinks there are 2 murderers at this table, and I have no idea how many of them know that. I would amend this to say at least 2 murderers, because I feel like we're gonna learn something soon, which we actually don't. I just expected to learn more about the other people's secrets.
Yeah, like they were like added to the list, and I was like, okay, well, what? We don't learn anything. Just like we don't learn about any Marty or Grog.
Or new. So Robert like stands up and kind of explains the rules, but the rhyme for the game goes, nothing in this life is free. We work for what we have and see. If you cannot end the time you're given, then harder you should have striven. And I appreciate that Harry even acknowledges the hypocrisy of this statement by saying the sentiment of the poem is extremely questionable given the extraordinary wealth these people inherited before any of them lifted a finger, and perhaps that is the point of the rhyme. She notes this more than once throughout the book, and I think I said a couple quotes that yes, they're hard workers, but they started out a lot better than most.
Yeah, the whole thing is just wacko. Like, Robert basically gets up and he tells her more than anyone told her on Krampusnacht. But basically the game works like each person has clues to lead them to something that they all desperately want. And how does it work? It's like whether they find another person's first or something like that.
No, so if whoever finds theirs first gets to know everyone else's.
There you go. Yeah. So like we're talking about like secrets here. Like basically like Robert knows like the deepest secrets of like everybody, and like Eleanor is the one that hides Robert's, right?
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, basically if you find your secret first, then you get to know everyone, and either you can like help some people out or like keep the knowledge for yourself. It's just sick.
It's really insane.
It's
and
twisted.
So obviously like her biggest need is to like have people not know her secret. Right. So she is very heavily invested in winning this.
Yeah, she's basically like, not only do I need to play this game to keep my secret kept, but to also like literally survive the night.
Yeah. So the game starts and she gets her first clue. Clue 1 is up the wooden hill to Bedfordshire, heading for the land of dreams. When I look back to those happy childhood days, nothing is quite what it seems. So she deciphers it to mean like up the wooden hills is the stairs, it's under the bed. So she runs to the kids' bedrooms and is shocked to realize that Bobby's room is what she would have pictured Edward in. And Edward's room is full of history books and maps, and she thinks he changed after Bobby's death into what Bobby was or would have been. So under Edward's pillow, she finds the next clue. Clue 2. You know me well, but not well enough. Come look harder, though you scramble and scruff. Peer into my darkness, it's cold and deep, but to win, you must find the secrets I keep. She runs to the well that Edward showed her earlier. She knows, at this point she has to win this to keep her secret safe. And while she's on her way to the well, she runs into Fiona, who says, if we win, we'll keep your secret, because obviously you have your secret if you're like trying to win this bad. But so if we win, we'll keep your secret safe, but you can't have kids because then they will inherit everything, and we want ours to be the one to inherit everything.
This was crazy.
I was insane.
Like, why did Fiona flip so crazy at this moment? And like, I I understand her need or her want for her kids to inherit, but like they're already filthy rich on their own. So like,
no, they aren't actually, because Oliver is the head of the company. So Edward, if he has kids, everything goes to them. Like nothing is left to the others.
Oh, okay.
So I understand why she was upset about this, but like this is not the time to have this conversation.
No, it was just strange.
It was super weird, and it made her seem a lot more sinister than she ended up being, and it was just like very bizarre.
I don't know. Like I would just okay. It wore me out. I was like, girl.
It was crazy. Harry then realizes that's why Robert has a vested interest in her, and that the doctor likely told Robert after their appointment. So that's when he like created the tape and like did all of this, because his plan has finally been set into motion. She finds a rope ladder at the well and goes down the well. She's slowly resigning herself to the fact that she may die tonight. If not literally, then her secret will have light shone on it, and she might lose Edward and or go to jail. She finds the third clue at the bottom of the well, which is like, it's winter, right? It's December 25th, and there is water at the bottom of this well. And like, it smells like rot because there's probably dead things in there. And it's insane.
Yep.
So the third clue says, "You've come so far, you're almost there. The next clue is something she would wear. You can sense her. She's right here. Reach out and check. Your present is under what's around her neck."
This is literally insane.
Insane.
It is literally insane. Like the clue is basically saying like, go find the dead body that's here in the well, in the water. You're pregnant and this crazy family is making you play this game. But yeah, like just go check this dead girl real quick for a clue on her neck. Disgusting. Insane. One of the girls Robert has killed is here, and she has to face it. She finds Melissa, who's wearing a necklace with a diamond star on it. And so this whole time I was like, someone's going to pull that freaking ladder up. She's going to be trapped in that well. I was so scared that was going to happen. Well, and it was scary because they talked about it like there's like caves around. Like it's like not just like the bottom of a well, like a hole. It's like
like a whole sewer. Thing.
Yeah. And it's like the fact that she even went down there, like for real.
Unbelievable.
Honestly, at this point I'd be like, yeah, like send me to jail. Like sorry.
Yeah.
Like I'd be like, okay, well, this has been fun, but I'm gonna go to jail now.
I'm gonna turn myself in.
Yeah, because like that's just crazy. Well, and that's another thing, like thinking about her crime and everything, like why, just considering the amount of like wealth and power this family has, and like knowing what she knows about the tapes, right? Like couldn't she have pieced together that like, although she doesn't want the family itself to know because at this point she thinks she's going to lose Edward, but like if it really did come out, they could like easily help, like Robert could help her like cover it up basically.
Right, but we're thinking Robert's the bad guy.
Yeah, but like if she continues to play his game or whatever, like I'm saying if the events hadn't unfolded like as they had, like in my mind I'd be like, okay, well, even if I lose this game and Robert is a murderer, I don't know. I just, anything but going down the well. I would have been thinking like anything to get me out of that situation.
Insane. So she gets out of the well to find her Christmas gift under the star on the Christmas tree. But as she is running back to the house, she finds Fiona's shoe in the snow and realizes that she was being chased. So she goes into the maze where she was and finds her dead. What? So she calls Edward and realizes things are not as they seem.
And that's another thing. Okay, if you're assuming that your husband-to-be is like the normal one in all of this, why are you not in contact with him until this moment? Sorry. Like I'm literally about to go down into a well where there's a dead body and you have not contacted the one person that's going to be on your side in all of this. It's fucking weird. And like,
yeah.
Oh my God, I just don't understand it.
She even like while she was going down the well, she was like, well, at least I have reception still. Like, It's like, ma'am,
But
then
like,
use it.
Use it for something. Like,
insane.
well, and my thing is like, even if I'm going into this game thinking that like, okay, I need to play this game to not only win, but I need to survive, I don't care. The first thing I'm doing is literally having my fiance on the phone with me the whole entire time. Like, I'm gonna play the game, but like, you're gonna be here with me, basically. Because like,
but she has to play it alone. That's what Robert said.
no one said anything about a phone call.
She asks where he was. So she like immediately, while she's on the phone with Edward, feels his voice change.
Yeah.
And she then, like, things are kind of clicking. And she says, where were you when Bobby died? And he just says, upstairs. Sir, you couldn't have lied? Like,
why did he choose this moment to be like,
insane?
hey, I was there.
Everything suddenly clicks into place. And she realizes that Robert wasn't confessing his secrets. He was confessing Edward's. But if he told her it was Edward, she never would have believed him and would have gone directly to Edward, rightfully so. She's realizing Robert is asking her to kill Edward, and she can remain part of the family with her daughter. And while they're on this phone call, Edward says, I know what you are too, and that doesn't change anything. Like, well, we're not the same.
We're not the same. And like, my thing is, why did Robert wait for Harriet?
I don't know.
Because like, he could have easily taken out Edward at any moment in this whole thing.
I don't know why he didn't kill Edward.
Because like, I don't know. Is Robert assuming that like somehow it would get traced back to him? I just don't think so. Like, it's just so, the way the events are weird to me.
Yeah. So he's like, don't talk to anybody when you come into the house. Like, go up to our bedroom, which very weird. But she's like piecing all this together. And so she like sneaks in. She enters the servants' quarter and finds the two maids there, drugged, alive, but unconscious. So she's like, all right, they're safe. They're not dead. Then she finds Matilda and Eleanor drugged in the kitchen. And she like wakes up Matilda and forces her to take Eleanor to the deer hides. Next, she finds Stuart on the other side of the glass door in the new wing, badly beaten but protected from, whatever's going to happen next, since it's like indestructible. She turns to go find the others and is attacked by Oliver. During the kerfuffle, the perpetrator like kills Oliver. And when she wakes up, Oliver is dead next to her. And now we're like back at the beginning of the book. She rises to go find Robert and Edward to figure out who is the mastermind behind all of this, and realizes that the rug is covered in gasoline. She's realizing that whoever it is who set it up is setting it up to be her fault, since that is like, she'd be the scapegoat because that's how she murdered the drunk driver who killed her family, through like gasoline and fire. She finds Robert unconscious and Edward holding a shotgun next to him. Edward has been waiting to find someone like her who would understand him, but she says they are not alike. He agrees, since his first was a mistake, an accident, and hers was intentional. She asks if he's going to kill her, and he asks if they can continue to be together, but her face immediately reflects that she cannot be with him. And she has to stall until Robert is awake enough. And so while he's trying to get her to sit down so that he can shoot her, and she's just like, well, talk me through this so that your unconscious father can wake up and we can figure out what to do, which is insane.
This was very much giving the end of It Girl as well, like with the gun and like the character who's in danger, like trying to talk down the murderer.
Yeah.
I was like, oh God.
So we find out Edward was the one who was feeding Adderall to Bobby. Bobby wasn't taking it on his like own volition. His intention was just to make Bobby like unhinge a little bit, like make him crazy enough just to make him step down from being in charge of the company because it was going in the wrong direction under Bobby. But he's 20. He hasn't even taken over yet. Like, calm down. So he just wanted him to step down and like remove him from the equation, but the drug interaction forced him into depression. And Edward even like tried to talk him down, like talk him off the ledge, but he just ended up killing himself instead, which great. Awesome. Lucy was there the day it happened, his girlfriend, and overheard the whole thing. Edward confessing to drugging him, and obviously had to remove her too. The next was Allison, who was his college girlfriend. He thought he loved her and she loved him, but when he confessed about the Bobby and Lucy situation, she ran. Gianna was her best friend and didn't know if Allison had told Gianna. So she started asking too many questions, and Edward just like had to take her out because he just wasn't sure.
Just the loose murders here. Or like, I think that's another thing that bothered me. I'm like, okay, like I get it. You're trying to keep all these people silenced, but like so many over Bobby's death.
That's
like,
why I think it's funny. Like,
it is goofy.
Next, Edward says that Matilda is too trusting and that Eliza was too close to the truth, and she had secrets worse than Harry's. So like she was just like, she's too dangerous, just gotta take her out real quick. And then Melissa, who was Stuart's secretary, was asking too many questions. Quote, a secretary above her pay grade. So after he like walks through all of this, he's like, maybe if I tell the truth, she'll still want this relationship. Like, we'll just walk out of here, pretend it was a silly little like accident that we set the house on fire, and we'll like live happily ever after with our daughter.
Literally delusional.
Like
literally delusional. Like, he's insane.
After stalling and Robert finally coming back to consciousness, she sees her gift under the Christmas tree, which is a canister of fuel that pairs perfectly with the lit fireplace nearby. Robert is able to cause a diversion while she runs and gets the canister. And at first it's funny because she thinks it's like a cruel joke about like her secret being safe with them or whatever. But then she's like, oh, wait, I can use this. So she sprays him, Edward, and pushes him into the fire. He starts rolling on the rug to tamp down the flames, but he had just like literally already doused the rug in gasoline in preparation to burn the whole place down. So the room goes up in flames quickly, and Harry uses the shotgun on her fiance and takes her soon-to-be father-in-law out of the house. When
this was so goofy to me. The whole setting fire to Edward was so goofy.
The whole thing is insane.
I was like, what are you talking about?
This was when I was like, oh, it's a goofy little game again. Like, we did Krampusnacht, insane. We did Christmas Eve, finding dead bodies, insane. Now we're back to being like, this is a joke.
Like, how it went down, I was like, this is crazy.
So when her and Robert make it out, she goes back in for Stuart and the maids. Robert resists by urging her to think of the baby, and she says, I am, because the baby needs me to be someone who goes back in. I need me to be someone who goes back in. And she is able to get those alive out safely. And then that's pretty much it. The end is, you know, with their big dollars, they're able to make it all disappear. They make it seem like it was a gas leak, and thankfully for a pregnant Harry, who wasn't sleeping well, she was able to get everyone out, except for Oliver, Fiona, and Edward, who stayed up late and fell asleep in front of the fire.
And see, this was so stupid to me. I was like, ain't no way people are just accepting this story. Like,
Like, who has to believe it, though? Because they paid everyone off.
I know they paid everyone off. I'm like, it's too easy, too wrapped up in ending. Like, I'm like, nah.
Well, I think that's the whole thing, though. Like, it's so meta of it, because she literally, like, Deontay was like, it's a book. Like, you don't have to have it be legal. You just have to have it
like work out for the character.
Insane. But since she technically won the game, She had made sure everyone got what they wanted. Oliver got his kids to have shares in the company. Fiona got the kids a trust, even though they're dead now. 3 of these children are orphans. Stuart got to take over the company. Eleanor and Robert got another granddaughter and like an heir. And Harry got a family. Iris is born on July 10th, safely and with her new family by her side. That I was upset by this ending, to be clear. I wished there was more in this like little like it was like 3 pages.
Yeah, like I think that's another thing that bothered me. Like I was just like, okay, like we've spent so much time like rifling through this story and this mystery like with Harriet, and like I wanted there to be more explanation. I wanted there to be more like, okay, well, description of like kind of following events of like what happened. Mm-hmm. And it was just too short.
Yeah, because again, who was following her? We don't know.
Yeah, and that's another thing. There's a lot of things that weren't explained.
Did she get the $2.7 billion from the Hong Kong deal?
Yeah, we never find that out either.
What happened to Lila? Did she stay with Stuart?
Yeah, because Harriet suspects that like Lila was like basically sent off to be like gotten rid of, but like is she alive? Did they murder her? Is she like safe with her son somewhere?
Is she part of the family now that the dangerous person is gone? Like,
yeah, like did she know about everything? Like
she's gonna have to kill again, obviously. Like it's not just a twice and it's over. Like, and even in the epilogue, like she writes it to her daughter, and it's like she was like, I will do whatever it takes to protect you, but I'll only do it once because we know how it gets when like it happens more than one. Ma'am.
And that's the thing. Like I think the whole point was that she was like a morally ambiguous character, obviously, but it's like, why throw that little tidbit in there? Like, what do you mean? What's going to happen at this point that you're going to have to like possibly murder someone for your daughter? Like what?
Well, my issue is that like, but you're turning into Edward then.
Right.
Like you can't just keep doing
like you
that.
just continued the cycle.
Yeah.
And it's like, I really don't understand what she's really getting out of all of this besides the money and the family, because like
that's all she wanted.
That's all she wanted. And like, but still like the family that she got is so fucking twisted and like,
well, but they're supposed to not be now that Edward's gone is the point. But like,
but they are.
Yeah. I don't know. Catherine, we need answers.
Yeah. Don't write another book though. not a sequel is what I mean.
Oh yeah, I was like, damn.
No, like, girl, feel free to write whatever you want to write. I did enjoy your writing. I was not a super fan of the ending.
Like I said, I had a lot of fun with this. It was just a good, like, fun mystery that like felt a little too serious for its britches at some points, but I think that almost makes it like no one would actually do this insane like Krampusnacht thing. Like,
no, in real life,
no one would do the like this crazy like Christmas Eve, all of your secrets are on the line. Like that's insane.
It's just bonkers, truly.
So I had a good time because I was like, even if this was real life, I wouldn't be in it. Like, there's no situation.
Sane, yeah, no one sane would be like, yeah, sign me up. Okay.
And I'm not gonna be married to a 1%er. That's just
no. Like, sorry, they're all morally bad. All of them.
Insane. All right, so the last thing I have before we get into our ratings and thoughts was the Taylor Swift song. So I chose Mastermind on the Midnight's album, which is her latest and greatest album. And it took me a while to pick this one, but I decided that this one was very good. So it starts with once upon a time, the planets and the fates and all the stars aligned. You and I ended up in the same room at the same time. And the touch of a hand lit the fuse of a chain reaction of counter moves to assess the equation of you. Checkmate, I couldn't lose. I laid the groundwork, and then just like clockwork, the dominoes cascaded in a line. What if I told you I'm a mastermind? And now you're mine. It was all by design because I'm a mastermind. So this is like literally explaining like the meeting at the gala. Like she is saved by Edward, and she realizes she could have this like beautiful life of like safety, and like creates herself to be what Edward needs, so that she can marry into a rich family.
Yeah. I like how the lyrics also like reflect basically like they were this family of like intense, twisted like game players. And Harriet comes out to be the one that's actually like, I was clever enough to beat you, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, because she's saying like chain reaction, checkmate, dominoes, clockwork, like it's all gamey.
It was very fitting.
And then it says, no one wanted to play with me as a little kid, so I've been scheming like a criminal ever since to make them love me and make it seem effortless. This is the first time I felt the need to confess. So I told you none of it was accidental, and the first night that you saw me, nothing was going to stop me. I laid the groundwork and then saw a wide smirk on your face. You knew the entire time. So like the end of the song is like, he let her do all of the work, but he knew the whole time.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so fitting for this book because he was like, I knew you were a murderer this entire time.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I chose you. Like, why I let you choose me. Just so good.
So good.
I was telling Caroline, after our Iron Flame episode, I was like, I am the Taylor Swift book whisperer because I can make these lyrics match quotes so well.
Yeah, it is impressive, honestly.
It takes me like a couple hours, to be honest.
Oh my God.
I have such a fun time doing it. All right, Alex, what was your rating?
I think in the heat of the moment when I finished this book, I was more angry at it than I actually am. Now that I've had some space and now that we've like relived everything, almost like a bad ex, but I rated it 2 stars. I rated it 2 stars. And again, this is not because of the writing. I actually did enjoy the writing. It was not like stellar, but it was definitely better than It Girl. And as far as thrillers go, I thought it like held up to par to like some of the other amazing thrillers that I've read. You know, I was intrigued throughout the whole book. It was a quick read. I liked how the story went, and I liked the mystery elements in it. And the only thing I didn't really like was the ending. That was my only problem with it. I thought the fire was goofy. I thought setting Edward ablaze was goofy. I thought the fact that nothing was explained super thoroughly after the fact was a little weird to me. And other than that, I think it's fine. I think it's a fine book.
So how would you compare it? So you like it more than the It Girl?
Yeah, for sure.
How do you like it compared to None of This Is True?
Oh, None of This Is True. When I tell you that I have wiped that book from any recollection, I couldn't even tell you what that book is about. It's coming back to me. It's coming back to me now. It's about the podcast, right?
Yeah. And the denim wearing.
Yo, I completely forgot we even read that. Oh my God. Not the denim wearing. Like, oh, that was so fucking goofy. Okay.
That book took itself way too seriously.
Book did take itself so seriously. And the basic bitch. That's something I will never forget.
It's like the last sentence.
You're a basic bitch. What? Like,
you're not though. You're like the creepiest motherfucker.
She's a murderer. That is not basic. Oh my God. Yeah, I
completely forgot about that.
I actually forgot what I rated that book. Probably like a 3.
So did you like it more or less than that one?
I'm going to say I liked it more than that one, although I did rate this one a 2. Yeah, I liked it. I liked the story better. The thing with none of this is true is that I was more hyped for it than what it turned out it to be. Like, I was more excited because it was such a cool like premise, like the podcast, and then like, I don't know, I thought it was going to be better than it was. What about you?
Yeah, I liked the layout of it, the like podcast scripts. I thought that was really cool, and like interview pieces.
Yeah.
I rated it a 3.5 to 4 star since I like finished reading it yesterday. I haven't solidified it, but I think I put 4 stars on Goodreads. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I had a fun time. I didn't take it too seriously. It's like we said, it's really short, so it's like a nice, like, if you're, I've never really read a Christmas mystery before, so that was fun.
I've never.
And I really liked the game pieces of it, so that's why I was actually surprised that you didn't like this, because it's so gamey and Alex loves games. But I totally see where you're coming from. Like, not a lot of it made sense.
No.
But I don't know. I also think that when we read books for the podcast, we're more critical of them because we have to like take notes.
We know that we're going to be discussing it actually.
So I think if you had read it outside of the podcast, you probably would have liked it a lot more.
Probably.
Because that's what I've been noticing. I was like, man, all of these like mysteries were like not rating very well. And then I was like, well, when I do this for the podcast, like I have to take notes and like actually consider if the like plot makes sense. And for me, at first, a lot of it didn't make sense. And then when I rewrote the notes, I was like, oh, actually, like, I can see where the plot, like, is a little bit more. So, I don't know.
Yeah. And I think also, like, we've talked about this in the other thrillers. Like, it's just hard to write a thriller. Like, it's just a hard genre to write really well. And, like, I don't think Steadman did a bad job with this at all. I think she did a fine job. I just wasn't thrilled by the ending. And that's okay.
Yeah. But overall, I do recommend this book. I actually did recommend it to my friend Caroline, who's not like a huge mystery person. I think she would really enjoy it. It does have like a lot of fun, like game aspects to it. Kind of, I don't know. It was fun. If you're looking for books that are a little bit perhaps better, I don't know, is the Inheritance Games series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, which I know I've mentioned before. And it's kind of like it plays more into the game aspect of it rather than just kind of like, we're going to have a Krampus follow us around. like it actually is more of a, like, you really feel involved in the games more.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like Knives Out, where I felt like you could maybe draw a parallel with Knives Out, but it was a little bit harder to get to. I felt like you can really do it with the Inheritance Games.
Yeah, I did like Knives Out. I didn't read it, but I obviously watched the movie.
It's not a book.
Oh, okay.
I just meant like
the story in general.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because so many people really liked that and because of the like mystery pieces of it. And
it was so good.
It was so good. But it is it's more of a YA mystery. It's a trilogy with a sequel, I believe, and I've only read 2 of them, so don't kill me if the other 2 are bad, but I really enjoyed the first 2, like 5 out of 5, I think.
Correct.
Great. So if you're looking for something similar or just want a more gamey book, chat.
Heyo. Next episode's book will be The Last Party by Claire McIntosh.
Woo!
Who also happens to be a British mystery writer.
But we wanted a New Year related book, and the murder happens on New Year, so
let's hope geez. Let's hope it works out for the murderer and for Alex, who is needing a good like.
It seems like a closed door mystery, like a locked door, whatever it's called. So it'll be interesting. We'll see how it goes. And it's also the start of a series. So if we like it, we might read the next one.
Woo!
As always, email us at goatpod@gmail.com with suggestions or book recommendations, and check us out on our social media at goatpod on Instagram and TikTok. You can find us at All the Good Ones Are Taken on Facebook. We appreciate all of your kind words. We have such a fun time doing this, as always. So, just keep it coming because we appreciate it and we love it. And
thank y'all so very much to any of our friends that we have talked to the podcast about and you are taking a listen. Thank you so much for your support. We hope you like it. And yeah, just thanks everybody. And happy holidays.
Happy holidays. This has been All the Good Ones
Are Taken.